Begin the meeting tonight, the Conyers Rockdale Planning Commission meeting, August 10th, 2023. First item on the agenda is the called invocation. Let us pray. Glorious God, you promise to open doors of blessing and abundance for your people. We ask that you would work mightily in us today. Come upon us and cause us to have a productive meeting. Lead each one of us so that we can make fruitful contributions at this time. Enable us to think and strategize in ways that will achieve great results. Purify our thoughts and motives so that each one of us will enter this meeting desiring the good of others and the pleasure of your name. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a determination of a quorum. When I call your name, please signify by saying aye. Leslie Lambert.
Aye.
Tom Harrison.
Here.
Ernest T. Stovall Goolsby. She's absent tonight. Tamikia White.
Here.
Al Ford.
Here.
And Ariel Palmer.
Aye.
Okay. And I want to welcome two new members we have today, Al Ford and Ariel Palmer. So, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next item is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, before we move forward with the
Right.
approval of the agenda, I'd like to make one addition to the agenda,
Okay.
and that would be to follow our ordinance that requires us to elect officers every year. And we have to do that by electing or re-electing the president, the chairman and the vice chairman. So at this time, I would like to nominate Steve Weinstein as reoccurring chairman of the Planning Commission. I need a second.
I second.
And any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And
You've been
I-
reelected.
Thank you. That's a pleasure. And at this time, I'd like to recommend Mr. Tom Harrison to continue as our vice chair. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Welcome again. Okay. All
Thank you,
right.
Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. All right, on that motion, let's about the approval of the rest of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the balance of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay. Next item would be rules of procedure for public hearings.
The minutes.
No, we'll do it afterwards.
Each speaker must sign their
Well, before we do that, let's do approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2023 meeting. Excuse me.
Motion to approve the minutes.
A
Is there a
second.
second?
My second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, now we'll hear the rules of procedure for public hearings.
Each speaker must sign their name to the appropriate zoning case sheet and fill out a public comment card to register their intent to speak prior to the start of this meeting. Each item of business shall be handled in the order that it appears on the agenda unless upon motion of the Planning Commission the order is changed. A member of the city or county planning staff will present each item to the Conyers Rockdale Planning Commission and will further provide a recommendation upon each item of business. The zoning applicant or the agent will state their name and address at the podium and will have 10 minutes in which to make his or her presentation. Any portion of their 10 minutes may be reserved for rebuttal following the opposition to the application. After the applicant's presentation, All registered speakers who wish to speak in favor of the application will then be heard. Prior to speaking upon the item, each registered speaker will state their name and address at the podium. They will also be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the applicant has made his or her presentation and the speakers in favor of the application have been heard, the secretary will then call upon the registered speakers in opposition to the application. The opposition shall likewise be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the public hearing portion is closed, no other speakers will be heard. As a reminder, speakers are to address the Planning Commission, not the applicant or the audience, and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers shall be permitted. After all public comments have been heard, the Planning Commission may elect to hold general discussion. The Planning Commission will vote upon a recommendation that will continue forward to the City of Conyers City Council or the Rockdale County Board of Commissioners public hearings.
Right, old business, none. New business.
Each speaker must sign their name to the appropriate zone.
Thank you.
That was in case you weren't paying attention.
Okay. Yeah. Old business, none. New business, City of Conyers, item C1, case number 12, 2023, it's ordinance 1329, a request for a text amendment to section 87-92 YY, supplemental use standards for public storage facilities. The purpose is to update the architectural requirements for public storage facilities. And the applicant is the City of Conyers.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Planning Commission members. Public storage facilities is a growing industry throughout our region, possibly as a result of the housing market and anticipated growth over the next several years. The model for public storage facilities in suburban areas has changed from one-story metal or cinder block buildings to multi-story brick masonry type of buildings. The purpose of this amendment is to improve the aesthetics of these facilities through architectural standards as they become more prevalent in our area. Currently, public storage facilities are permitted as a use by right in the industrial distribution district and requires a special use permit before being established in the highway service business district. You'll see here the current supplemental use standards, and these are the new proposed supplemental standards. You'll notice that we are proposing to expand the aesthetic requirements. One of the additions is allowing for an option for a flat roof for buildings 2 or more stories, as opposed to where we only allowed gabled or hip roof with a minimum slope of 412. I'm not going to read all of it so I can save your ears. Staff does recommend approval of the proposed text amendment to section 8-7-92 IY. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions?
I have one question regarding the flat roof. Do you have any restrictions on what goes on the roof as far as from the from your vantage point, like HVAC equipment?
Yes. So for flat roofs, they do have to be enclosed by parapets no less than 2 feet high along each facade, and mechanical service units, HVAC units, condensers, exhaust fans will need to be screened by public view with a parapet wall.
A few months ago, we had an application at Miller Road, right near the United Community Bank. Will this affect their reapplication when they decide to come back?
No, because that's in the county.
Oh, that's right. That's not city.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Then I'll ask Christopher.
All right, any other questions? There being none, is there any motions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve Case 12-2023, Ordinance 1329, text amendment to Section 8792, Supplemental Use Standards Public Storage Facilities for many warehouses for the City of Conyers.
All right, motion to approve.
I second.
Second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, you did open that public hearing and close the public hearing on that request, right?
On the, this item, when I
Yes.
call for the
Thank you.
vote. it
Just for
closes it.
clarification, thank you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, sure, certainly. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Item C2, Case 13-2023, Ordinance 1330, a request for a text amendment, Chapter 7, zoning to create a new zoning district, Section 8-7-45, Recreation and Entertainment District. Purpose to create a new zoning district. The applicant is City of Conyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right quick, is there a way that the volume for this microphone can be turned up? I understand it may be kind of hard to hear. Is that an option?
Can you turn that mic up?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, this is a introduction of a new zoning district for the City of Conyers. It is the Recreation and Entertainment District, or RED for short, not the Red Light District. So just for clarification.
Entertainment recreation instead?
You probably could, but we've got it recreation entertainment. So the purpose of this zoning district is to accommodate large-scale indoor and outdoor recreation and entertainment uses that are both active and passive for not only the participants but also spectators. Additionally, the purpose of this district is to establish consistent architectural and design standards that enhance the aesthetics and pedestrian accessibility throughout the district. The intent of the RED district is to enhance and maximize the character and development within the district. Inherent of this intent is the desire to create a sustainable, master planned, and developed facility that locates primarily recreational and entertainment uses with supplemental commercial uses at one centralized location that will mitigate traffic congestion, utilize existing public infrastructure as deemed suitable, and reduce the negative impact on existing residential properties. I'm not going to read the entire 12 pages or whatnot to you. My voice can't take it, neither can your ears. So just want to hit some of the highlights of this. This zoning district is specific, contiguous to 250 acres or more, and is specific to an area of the city that is located north of the Yellow River, west of Gees Mill Road, south of Centennial Parkway, and east of Georgia Highway 138. So we get very specific on where this intended district may go. So, Mr. Harrison, no, sir, you cannot ask to rezone your property at your house to a red light district, or red district, excuse me. So just to, like I said, the general highlights of it. The non-residential density shall not exceed 30,000 square foot of gross leasable floor area per net acre. Again, net acre, we want to take out areas designated for detention ponds or easements. Can't count stream buffers towards that density. You got to take those areas out. Areas that are unbuildable as far as open space and as far as required open space, that is, and also that may have topographical challenges that make it difficult to develop. You've got to subtract all that out to get your density. So that's one of the things. There, you know, as you see there, you guys had the ordinance. I'm sorry, Ms. Palmer, welcome. Mr. Ford, welcome. Those of you that have been here for a little bit more than a month had this ordinance to review for a while. So I hope you've had that opportunity to look at that. No ordinance is perfect. We tried to accommodate and protect the community as best we can when we're drafting ordinances. So looking at this, we do identify a table of permitted uses within the red district, and those are identified with a P as permitted, S with a special use permit. You'll see on there sports stadiums, that's a permitted use, obviously. Indoor recreation, yep. Outdoor, absolutely. Summer camps, yep. Fitness centers, hotels, private schools, school dormitories, and I'll talk about that momentarily. Conference center, banquet hall, indoor amusement, microbrewery and microdistillery would be a permitted use with a special use permit and not by right. Brew pub is by right. Restaurants, bakery, coffee shop, apparel, and sports apparel stores, and warehouse distribution apparel only. And I'll talk about that again. I'll talk about that momentarily after I talk about dormitories. So one thing, you look on there and say dormitories, what are you talking about, Scott? Well, dormitories have to be associated with the school on site, and there are supplemental standards of that. So the dormitory, no more than 200 units, may only be used to provide temporary housing to the staff, coaches, trainers, and athletes enrolled within a private organization for on-site instruction, and/or students enrolled in on-site private school for each of the athletic training. So this is not going to turn into multifamily housing. This is not going to turn into single-family housing or condos. The purpose and intent is for that recreation entertainment. Is there a possibility in the future that this ordinance could get amended to allow for residential? Absolutely. But at this stage in the game, we think it's important to let's get the purpose and intent established before we start opening it up to other uses. The idea is that recreation entertainment, we can address the living later if that's so desired. Elements of this ordinance are a requirement of a master plan. So if developer acquires the property, they have to develop a master plan before they can rezone, so we can see their potential layout, what they're looking at. An area of this size and a project of this scale will require development of regional impact that's assessed through the Department of Community Affairs and through Atlanta Regional Commission. Streetscape standards are in there, so you're not going to have parking lots without trees. You're not going to have interior roadways without trees, because who likes to walk on a sidewalk that's open to the sun blistering down on you? You want some shade. Open space standards, there are a 10% minimum required open space over the aggregate of the property, and there's identified uses for that open space within the ordinance. Tree preservation and landscape requirements, screening standards, screening from mechanical elements, screening from dumpsters, screening from detention ponds. Exterior lighting standards, no more than 44,000 lumens per acre is what we're proposing, so that the area around it is not inundated with a flood of light at all hours of the night. Parking standards, so we're looking at parking locations, where parking would be appropriate. We didn't set a parking minimum, but a parking maximum, so that the developer can look at it and say, I don't need 10,000 parking spaces for my, just say, 40,000 square foot building. I'm making these numbers up. If they say we only need 100, that's less impervious area, less heat island effect, less runoff that we have to contend with. And then most importantly, I believe, is architectural standards. I don't think anybody wants to look out anywhere and see nothing but bland concrete buildings that lack architectural interest. So those architectural standards are built into this ordinance. I want to talk to you a little bit about the warehouse and distribution. So there's a potential for someone who may make apparel products and may want to distribute and sell apparel products. Well, if that's the case, we're looking at that, and limiting it to warehouse and distribution shall be limited to apparel that is used and sold on-site and may be sold off-site through other retail means. Warehouse and distribution to be limited to no more than 2% of the gross acreage of the overall site and located within structures with an aggregate of no greater than 60,000 square feet. So you do the math. If you got a 250-acre site, 2%, it's going to limit you pretty good, and then no more than 60,000 square foot building. If you have one, two, you can only have two 60,000 square foot buildings for aggregate of 120. No structure used for warehouse distribution shall be located within 2,000 feet of a structure containing a residential use. That would be those school dormitories. All structures where warehouse and distribution take place shall have dedicated and separate vehicular access points separated from the general public that uses the overall facility. The idea behind that is we don't want truck traffic, commercial vehicle traffic, intermingling with those of us that may be going to a facility for an event, whether it's a child soccer game or whether it's to see a professional athletic event or whatever the case may be there, or if you're going to ride mountain bikes or whatever. So that's the idea about separating those points of impact. If you have any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them. I've kind of gone over this a lot, but at the 50,000 level foot, we're happy to dig into it. If you have specifics, we can. But yes, sir, Mr.
I
Ford.
have one question. There's a development right around the corner on Centennial Parkway, the Centennial. It's about 60 to 70 homes roughly. So does this ordinance take into consideration those homes right around the corner from this development?
Yes, sir, absolutely. When drafting this development, we maybe contrary to popular belief, we don't sit in a closed room with a box of crayons and markers and write these up. We talk about these with staff, and it goes through a staff review at multiple levels. Yes, sir. The neighborhood you speak of, kind of adjacent to it, the golf course, and even the apartment complex, all those were taken into consideration. And when we consider those, we consider the externalities on those. What are the unintended consequences that can occur that would potentially have a detrimental impact to someone's quality of life through noise, odor, vibration, things like that. And taking that in consideration, that's where the lighting standard comes into play. We've got requirement that lights have to be full cut off, meaning they shine straight down, they can't bleed back. Looked at the lumens per acre at 44,000. So site lighting out on the site. You go to some places. Let's take for example the Battery. How many have been to the Battery? Several of us are seeing pictures of it, and at night it's lit up. Well, as someone who has invested across the street, they may not appreciate that light at all hours of the night. So the externalities like that is what we're trying to take in consideration. That's the groundwork for this ordinance. Other items may come about at the development of regional impact stage, and then if someone were to decide to request a rezoning on the property, then obviously further review can be given and conditions of zoning can be placed that may help further eliminate any externalities that may not have been considered at this stage. But as we dwell down and get further into a type of development, there's opportunity for that review and maybe not regulation is the right word, but oversight.
You read my mind because that was my next question.
You got it.
You mentioned light. What about noise? What about, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. So noise, yes, sir, the city of Conyers does have a noise ordinance, and we don't address noise in the zoning ordinance because noise is handled as a nuisance through the police department. So we have not set any kind of decibel rating or anything like that within the text before you.
Is there a chance that where you're talking about a district would be in close proximity to residential?
The closest,
subdivision or-
the closest residential subdivision, yes, sir. Looking at the location at where someone can apply for a rezoning, it would abut Keswick Village, a multifamily, and it would be across the divided Parkway from Centennial Village, which is a single-family detached subdivision that Mr. Ford was inquiring about.
Right.
So that would be the closest residential to anything of this property.
So what would the, so it can abut Keswick Village?
Yes, sir.
And so what is the buffer requirements? What is the protection for, Keswick Village? Is it in here somewhere?
No, sir. There's nothing in here, this ordinance, about a buffer between uses.
Should there be?
That is, when staff looked at that, I can tell you from my point of view, again, this is the groundwork up here. As we get to the master plan, as we go through the zoning process, I think it's important to look at what the proposed use could be against that property line as to what type of buffer is determined. For example, I wouldn't want to craft the ordinance that says a 100-foot buffer between the dissimilar zoning districts at this rate if, when the master plan is delivered, whatever is at that 100-foot line may actually be more impactful and need more than 100 foot. So at that stage with the master plan, we would have an opportunity to kind of manipulate that, and then they'd have to apply for zoning. And at that point, we can address additional buffers. But if that's something that you would like to see written into that, to the ordinance, yes, sir, this is what we're here for.
Scott, you mentioned that the sound requirements were not being addressed in this ordinance because we've got a separate sound ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that since this is probably, well, it is the largest noisemaker of a stadium situation we've had, that the sound ordinance itself might get readdressed to include something like this?
I think so, yes, sir. And I this is not proposed, but I imagine should something come to the city to rezone for this property, that there would be a language that would prevent organized activity after midnight. I don't know, but that may address some of that as well. And that's things that, again, that we can think of at that point in time when we get there. But if this body feels more comfortable addressing that now, we can certainly put that as a recommendation to the city council when they hear this item next week, is that the planning commission had these concerns and want these added into it.
Any other questions?
Well, Scott, have you explored what type of traffic requirements, for the trucks? Have you determined as to whether or not there's a certain times they can actually load and unload?
As far as the trucks, it's a two-part question, and I'm going to answer that both ways. No and no, and here's why. Because part of the DRI, the Development Regional Impact, we'll have to do a traffic impact analysis. We'll have to work through ARC and GRETA, Georgia Regional Transportation Authority. So that's going to look at the impacts to the movement of vehicles in and out of the site and in and out of 138, Centennial Parkway, things of that nature, G's Mill. So all those will be taken into consideration when that traffic impact study is completed. That's something that the applicant will have to do and not the city. As far as the hours of service, The noise ordinance addresses that I talked about earlier, that's in the nuisance compartment of our overall city ordinances, addresses elements of delivery. And again, if a user comes in and, oh yeah, we take deliveries at 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe you'll want at this site because of the impacts. Or what are you going to do that, we don't want our garbage cans being emptied next to a resident at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So this draft does not take that in consideration because at this point it's kind of an unknown until we get that master plan from a developer, and that's why that master plan requirement is in there. Did that answer your question?
It did. So are we now determining that the traffic impact studies will come with the master plan?
Yes, ma'am, they will, because this is, the wheels of government at work here is we have to have the zoning ordinance in place before someone can apply for the zoning. So the zoning ordinance gets adopted theoretically. The next person comes in and says, hey, I want to rezone this property to red. Here's what I plan to do, because the ordinance does require the master plan. We look at that master plan and say, you meet these thresholds for development of regional impact because of the size and scale and the impact you're going to have, not on us, but our host government, Rockdale County, and the neighbors. So we go through that development regional impact review. That is a state requirement that we go through. I say we, not all of we in the room, but we as in the city and the applicant work with Atlanta Regional Commission, Georgia Regional Commission Authority, Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, and DCA to look at the externalities that will occur and how best to mitigate those. So that to give you a little more insight on a DRI, they've got to give us anticipated water and sewer usage, anticipated solid waste production, and where that solid waste will go, what landfill is gonna fill it, things of that nature. So it gets pretty detailed on where things are gonna go and how they're gonna get there. And then once the DRI is complete, only then can the city council take action on a zoning request. And that action, as you know, could be approve with conditions, deny, or to table it. So get the ordinance adopted that allows for the rezoning. Rezoning application comes in, it triggers the DRI. DRI is complete, it completes the zoning process before you guys and before city council. And you guys can then, like past DRIs in the city, can place conditions on the development based on the findings of the DRI.
But how likely you have principal uses? For example, a fitness center or hotel or microbrewery, how likely is that going to be on, that would have to be on 250 acres?
At least, yes.
Right, so how likely is that? How would is a hotel or?
I hope very likely,
Right.
because that could
Right.
be a real good economic engine for Conyers, Rockdale County if we had something like that. Again, battery, but on the smaller scale that fits our community. How likely is it, Mr. Chairman? I don't see one person or one corporation being able to do all of that. That's where you got the development partnerships where they have to bring in partners who will specialize in hotel, specialize in restaurant, restaurateurs and things like that. I think the possibility is great that can happen, and I think the demand is there for it.
You're talking about a hotel and obviously other, like a restaurant or
Yes, sir.
in there, multiple things on that property besides a hotel.
Yes, sir.
Right. comments, John?
I think it's safe to say that this is going to be a learning process anyway, since it's a new
Yes,
type
absolutely.
of project for the city and the county. And so we'll see some changes and some additions and some corrections as we go along with this
I-
project. But I think it's a win-win no matter how we do it.
Well, and I appreciate the words of encouragement, Mr. Harrison. I think that this is that starting point, and it would not be surprising if 6 months or a year down the road, I'm back before you saying, hey, we need to make these adjustments. You know, again, not all ordinances are perfect, and certainly planners are far from perfect, but this is that opportunity there.
Any other questions, Scott? Thank you. Is there anybody signed up to speak on this?
I don't believe so, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. The public portion is now closed, and any discussion, motion?
Mr. Chairman, like I said, this is a unique opportunity for the city and the county to have a complex of this nature, and I find myself saying, I make a motion we approve Case 13, 2023, Ordinance 1330, a request to amend the text of Chapter 7 zoning of the Conyers Municipal Code of Ordinances for the purpose of creating a new zoning district called Recreation and Entertainment District, even though it should be called ERD, but I make a motion that we approve.
That might be our next text amendment, right?
I'll second.
All right, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, moving on to county business. Item R1, rezoning case 2023-07. Request by Swords Construction, care of Carol Swords, to rezone
Mr. Chairman.
1.07 acres parcel.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, your comprehensive land use plan, you want to do that too? Okay, all right.
are you tired of hearing me speak? Wow.
Put the brakes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought I had a big section in there for some reason.
No, that's the county.
So,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman,
We had the county, I knew we had the county, but we didn't have the.
that is quite all right.
Okay, well, let me read it for the record here. Okay. Item C3, 2023 Comprehensive Plan Update. To review the contents of the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Update, City of Conyers. Do we have any documents on that?
I thought it was a large file,
Okay.
and it was
All right.
emailed.
Okay.
It may have been blocked because of the large file.
Okay. I did not get any, okay.
So,
You can-
I take it you're tired of hearing my voice, and that's why you jump to the county. So the good news is our representative project manager with the Atlanta Regional Commission, Kristen Allen, is here tonight. Kristen has done probably, I'm going to say 99% of the hard work on our comprehensive plan. We will open up to a public hearing after her presentation, after questions from the planning commission. But she has some slides that she'll go through, and we're opening up to questions and then a public hearing.
All right, thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me, Chairman and Commission. Kristen Allen with the Atlanta Regional Commission, and we've been working on the comprehensive plan update for the City of Conyers since the end of last year. So it's been quite a long update. The comprehensive plans are updated every 5 years. So the last update was in 2018, and so now we're on the 2023 update for the City of Conyers. Sorry. Okay. How do I get it off of that? Okay, so just briefly, the reason that we plan at the Atlanta Regional Commission, we assist any city or county in our 11-county region that wants assistance with or needs assistance with the comprehensive planning can ask the Atlanta Regional Commission. So we've been helping the city of Conyers with this, and the bullets around it are preparing for the future, providing for public health, safety, and welfare, building community, minimizing weaknesses and enhancing strengths, accommodating present needs, and anticipating change. And because the state of Georgia requires local governments to maintain their comprehensive plan for their qualified local government status. So the elements that are requiring updates every 5 years per the DCA are the needs and opportunities of the community. The DCA requires to look at the broadband, a broadband map for the usage there, an updated land use maps, a report of what's been accomplished in the last 5 years, and also a community work program, a new community work program outlining the different tasks for the next 5 years. So these are all in the plan document. ARC's scope covers more than the above requirements, so our goal is to look at the community feedback and incorporate that into the plan. So the current status is the draft plan. So there, with the meeting tonight, we take public comments to incorporate into the draft plan, and then next week is the council meeting that will also be another chance for public comment. And then the plan goes, the revised plan goes to the DCA and is posted on their website for 40 days for additional comments before it's closed and then officially accepted by the city of Conyers. And this is the timeline. So it started in, I believe December was when there was the formation of the steering committee. And the steering committee was a group of stakeholders in the city of Conyers that drove this process and looked at the community feedback to incorporate into the plan. And so there was an online survey that closed at the end of April. And that public survey was incorporated into another public participation meeting that was held here in March. So those were kind of the two big opportunities for public feedback. And moving on from here, we had the community development meeting at the Planning Commission now, and then there will be a public hearing number 2 next week, and then the adoption is on October 18th. So that's the scheduled timeline between 2022 and 2023. The overall takeaways is that the existing plan from 2018 was largely unchanged. There are additional details added around some of the public feedback around housing, Old Town Conyers, broadband, and natural resources. The issues and opportunities from 2018 were revised into community goals, which is a DCA guideline. And then the 4 areas of improvement were unchanged, but some modifications were made as far as connectivity, facilities, development, and identity in the report. So for the public meetings and community engagement, there were 239 survey participants and over 3,900 responses. So there's a breakdown of some of the respondents, where they live. Some were business owners, some worked in the city of Conyers. The public meeting was held on March 9th, and we had input on transportation safety, housing, improvement locations, and places frequented in Conyers and what brings people here. And then the steering committee had 11 members, including residents, business owners, economic development people, elected officials, housing authority, and city staff. The summary of the inputs from the public meetings were the most significant resources based on the feedback were the Old Town, the downtown, the architecture, the old jail, the new depot players, Conyers green spaces and trails, Milstead in Maine, and the horse park, the Cherokee Run golf course, and the Old Baptist Church. The greatest challenges mostly came down to increasing population and traffic. Strongest assets were the location and proximity to Atlanta, the diversity, festivals and events in the neighborhoods, and the priorities were restaurants, parks and green spaces, attractions and festivals, pedestrian spaces, housing, things to do, and a safe community. That's just a high-level summary, so there are other comments. These were the ones that kind of rose to the top. So I'm just going to go through some summary of changes between the 2018 and the 2023 report. So the key areas of change were the vision statement was the same. So the vision statement in the report is Conyers is a desirable, healthy, highly sought-after community, rich in history and heritage. And the principles were updated to spell Conyers. So they're updated to community, open, neighborly, Yes, we have it because the steering committee felt that Conyers really has everything that it needs to be a livable community, equitable, relevant, and sustainable. So these are all in the report as well for your review. There are some added assets or opportunities and challenges or issues. So the assets, like I said before, proximity to Atlanta, diversity festivals, the natural beauty, parks and recreations, and the affordability. And the challenges were traffic and connectivity, effects of and planning for growth, wanting additional parks and recreation, rising home prices and rents, quality housing, and local economy. So community goals around connectivity. So we added these were some of the goals that were added into the report. So for connectivity, it was to increase safety for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers, and that Conyers will embrace the need for shade and beautification through increased tree plantings. For development, an added element to the plan was that Conyers will conduct further research on opportunities to enhance the local economy in Old Town while increasing connectivity, and will look for housing opportunities to meet the needs and increase the economic vibrancy. And some additional areas of change in the plan, some additional plan comment were some updated data and demographics for 2022, 2023, new content to reflect the community's input and goals around Old Town Conyers, housing, natural resources, transportation, broadband, and then a long-range planning section. A key area of change was updated broadband map. So you can see in the map that comes down from the state that the majority of the area is considered served by the broadband providers. There's some area around the horse park that is considered unserved, which I think is something that's ongoing right now, and it's being worked on right now. And then there is one area that was kind of considered by the state as no location, just because of the way they collect the data for the broadband. But that's something that needs to be updated every 5 years, is the broadband map. A couple of key areas of changes were the report of accomplishments. So anything that was accomplished in the last 5 years was updated in that report of accomplishments. And then the community work program had some things that carried over from the report of accomplishment, and then some new items that were added in. So there's a drafted 2023 to 2027 community work program for the next 5 years. A few other changes to the plan. Some things were unchanged and some were tweaked a little bit, but the future land use and narrative was largely unchanged. The only change there was the removal of the residential manufactured housing zoning district, and the special planning areas was still relevant and largely unchanged, but just removed one, which was called the areas in transition from the special planning areas. So the public input takeaways and updates to the comprehensive plan. The takeaways for Old Town Conyers, we identified in the 2018 comprehensive plan, Old Town is a focal point for the city. And since the 2018 comprehensive plan, there was the new Conyers City Hall constructed, and the Hardin O'Kelly Roundabout was created through the LCI program. And the 2023 public input updates included the desire to continue to improve the downtown city center, consider closing a central street for pedestrian use, continue to connect and beautify the downtown, boost local businesses with incentives, mixed housing and culture and walkability, and potential connection with West Avenue to Old Town. So that was the public input that was incorporated into some of the community work program. And so the community work program items that were in the plan to address some of these were to create a strategy to attract retail stores, creating more merchant diversity to increase commerce in the Old Town area, to undertake the assemblage of underutilized land parcels in the city's urban redevelopment area, particularly those which are too small to entice private sector investment, and to develop and implement strategies to encourage development in the city's urban redevelopment areas. So those were actually in the community work program for the next 5 years. Some takeaways from housing. Looking at the data, the largest increases in the city of Conyers were in 1- and 2-person households. There's an increase in renters who are struggling with affordability, and lower home sale prices and rents are an advantage. Lower home sale prices and rents comparable to some of the greater metro area are an advantage for the workforce in Conyers. That's what kind of came out of the data collection part. And the public input includes the need for quality housing with infrastructure to accompany new growth, resident concern with the rate of growth in infrastructure, need for mixed-use development near amenities to drive the local economy and connectivity, addressing needs for ownership opportunities as well as an increase in homelessness, enabling age-in-place and senior housing options, and addressing blight and stress on legacy residents. So those were some of the public input that were collected. Sorry, my scroller's not working. And the items in the community work program regarding housing that will be worked on in the next 5 years are identifying areas of visual blight within the community, including public properties that may need attention, and undertake a campaign to improve code compliance, develop and implement strategies to encourage development in the city's urban redevelopment areas. Natural resources, there were some comments. The strongest assets were parks and green spaces, according to the respondents, and there were opportunities to improve existing assets, including the Yellow River and some connected green spaces. Some progress was made on a really nice online walking tour map, so that was highlighted in the report, a walking tour map of the local parks and green spaces, which is online. And so some of the public input was incorporating trees and green space into new building, desire for more specified green space, need for recreational activities for teen years and scenes, and create more trails and green spaces as economic drivers. And so these are the work program items that were created kind of in response to that, which was some funding for open space, an inventory and audit of existing recreation facilities, repair and addition of arenas, lighting, fencing at Centennial Olympic Park, creating the Wetlands Wonders Wildlife Educational Walk at Big Haynes Creek, and Phase 2 construction of Big Haynes Creek and repairs to the wooden bridges at Cherokee Run. So these are all work program items for the next 5 years to address the parks and recreation. For transportation, there's a majority of commuters who drive, which was 22,000. There's a regional safety strategy we discussed and is in the report from the ARC to provide areas that are increased risk for drivers, walkers, and bikers. That could be something to look at and incorporate in future planning. And the comprehensive plan includes the Rockdale County's list of CTP project lists for Conyers. So some of the input included pedestrian and bike safety and transportation options, additional sidewalks, transit that is not car dependent, addressing dangerous intersections, and specifically Highway 138 and I-20 came up a good bit, traffic and congestion, and vehicle and driver safety. So that was the public input. And then the community work program items that were incorporated into the plan were developing bikeways along Main Street, Oakland Avenue, and Sigmund Road, installing sidewalks at Green Street, from West Avenue to 3rd Street and South Main, from Pine Log Road to Arbor Creek, participating in the creation of a transit development study to determine community needs and wants for transit, and complete local road and intersection improvements per the comprehensive plan update. And lastly, the long-range planning for 2023. These are items that aren't necessarily in that 5-year work plan, but are just kind of a roadmap for the future, so that these can be kind of pulled back in when the next update is done to see if there's interest from leadership in the community in pursuing these. But some of the items are to explore the new economic development and planning efforts for Old Town Conyers, to update the LCI, Livable Centers Initiative, Conyers Town Center Plan, to incorporate components in the County Green Space Master Plan that are applicable to Conyers, and to continue to increase connectivity through the Path Trail Continuum. So those are some long-range items for the city. So the next steps, as we mentioned, is to receive comments tonight and at the meeting next week. And that will actually be a transmittal hearing. And after that meeting, the plan will be transmitted to the DCA for approval. And then the City of Conyers will receive comments back from the DCA, and the adoption process will be in October. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions or feedback, I'm happy to take that.
Thank you. Any questions?
Did you send us a copy of this?
Yes, sir. It is a large file. We have created a link to it on our city website instead of posting on the site itself. So there's a link. That's what I sent you all, a link to that. Some drops in.
Okay. I missed the link. That's all right. We'll find it.
I missed it too, but we got it.
I'll send it out again tonight, I promise you.
And for the public, there is a link on the city's
Yes, sir. So
website.
So for public notification, our public relations manager has published this on the website and on social media that the city is involved in local forums.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions from us?
No question? Okay, yes.
I have a quick question. This might have nothing to do with this comprehensive plan, but I know, of course, the buzz is about the stadium or the potential. Have we thought about that, addressed that? Have we planned for that?
You're right. That question is not about the conference. So, you see that we run things parallel. Yes, ma'am.
1330?
Yes, ordinance 1330. So that was in discussion about what could potentially happen out there and what that means for this comp plan update. And ultimately, it means nothing for the comp plan update other than you saw the broadband map. And let's go back to it. So, you can't really see the cursor very well, but you see the big gray area right there on the edge of the map? That's a swamp. We're not going to have broadband in the swamp. Ducks don't use broadband, I guess. And below that, that is the horse park, the Charles Walker Arena, things like that. They're currently working to get broadband service out there. It's spotty at best. It doesn't meet the state minimum of 25 megabytes per second. Above it is Cherokee Run Golf Course. But that area that Ordinance 1330 if passed would have an impact is this right there. That large area just south of that. So some elements of the comp plan, yes ma'am, do take into account the potential out there. One thing that will have to change as well with the zoning is the land use. So the land use designation would have to change. But as far as the impacts it could have to the comprehensive plan, there's no overlapping elements in that case.
Okay, so that we don't have anything in our current standards that may cause a hiccup to that.
I'm sure there's plenty of things that can cause a hiccup, but as far as the comp plan, no ma'am.
Okay.
I don't foresee that.
And if the staff and the leadership wanted to have it referenced in the future planning section, that could be in there, just really as a mechanism for continuity. So a lot of the communities we work with, if there's staff change, you have this and you have your strategic plan that kind of carry forward every 5 years. So there's continuity and someone can pick it up and understand what's being worked on and what the goals are. So, and if there are things that you know you're going to be able to accomplish in the next 5 years, those can be put on the community work program. But if you're not sure that you can accomplish them in 5 years, it's better typically to put them in the future planning section, and then you can work those into the next update. So,
Thank you.
Is there anybody signed up to speak or in public comment or no? Okay, all right. Thank you. Move on to Rockdale County now? Okay. Anything else? All right, we have item R1, rezoning case number 2023-07.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you just want to get rid of me. I see that.
No, we don't.
We would like to open and close the public hearing and have a recommendation as to, yes, move forward.
Yeah, I didn't know that, no. Needed a recommendation on this, you would like one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right,
Yes, sir.
okay. And the is there a recommendation to move?
To move forward
Okay, all
with
right.
the
Okay.
draft update of the comprehensive plan.
all
Does that
right.
need to be a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the 2023 comprehensive plan update as written.
I'll second that.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. All right. Now are we?
Thank you.
Now we can.
Now he wants to know if he can go forward.
Okay. You can't leave though. All right. Rockdale County rezoning case number 2023-07. A request by Swords Construction, care of Carol Swords, to rezone 1.07 acres parcel on 1952 Old Covington Highway from R1 Single Family Residential to M1 Limited Industrial for the construction of metal rail fabrication shop, parcel number 02300200024. Applicant Carol Swords.
I believe it's Carl Swords. You said Carol, or you said Carl? I believe it's Carl.
Carl.
Okay. Good evening, planning commissioners. Again, the first case brought to you again is RZ case 23-07. The applicant is Mr. Carl Swords. The applicant is looking to rezone the subject property from R1 to M1 to light industrial. Mr. Swords has an existing business located off of Old Covington Highway. He's looking at this property to expand his current business into a metal workshop. Again, as you can see, this is the current property. Again, is zone R1 for residential. Mr. Swords would like to turn it into his workshop. Again, everything along Old Covington Highway in that area is light industrial. So there's a couple of key notes for the project summary. To get primary access will be along Old Covington Highway. The applicant will expand the parking area to include gravel parking for customers and for employees. He will include a 10,000 square foot metal workshop on the back of the existing building. That existing building will turn into the actual office for his business, as well as include a covered area. I think it was just 2,400 square feet on the back of the property, as well as a gravel area in the back. With all our applications, we provide a technical analysis in the staff report. Staff has recommended approval with 4 conditions, I believe. The conditions include the site shall be developed in compliance with the M1 zoning category. Natural vegetation shall remain on the property until issues of the development permit. All vehicles, equipment, and machinery shall be parked or stored in a paved surface, gravel, or approved porous material, and parking area shall be at least 25 feet from the right-of-way. I do ask you to hold all your comments until after the applicant has presented, because your questions may be answered at that time.
All right. Thanks, Chris. At this time, we'll hear from the applicant.
Hi, I'm Carl Swords.
Good evening.
We have existing business. I think it's 5 lots down. We're there from 2015 in the existing building, and we're just looking to move down, and right now we lease and build our own shop. There's several businesses like we do, industrial maintenance. Most of our work is done in the field. It's just kind of a home base. Where we work at a lot of the local industries, BioLab, Certainty, places like that. That's it. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, there was an issue, and I guess I've not heard the resolution dealt with for the metal fabrication shop, which, as you know, is allowed only in M2.
Right.
And you're going for M1. How have you? I know you've talked to the county. Have you resolved that?
We're more of a we're more of a machine shop than like a big structural metal fabrication where there's lots of large metal in the yard. That's not more. All of ours is business conducted inside. So.
Chris,
We looked up his current business license, and his NICS code has him as a machine shop or a or a minor repair shop. That's which is permitted in M1 zoning classification.
Okay, so I can ask. I mean, it says metal fabrication. Is that something that needs to be removed from the? Because are we approving that?
No. We can clarify. That's just a typo or incorrect statement on the application. Again, his current business is not metal fabrication shop. It again is just a machinery shop, which is again limited maintenance and so forth, which will be allowed in light industrial.
Okay, that clarifies it. Thank you.
Will you be conducting any type of welding, any type of fabrication under that shed that's exposed?
No, all the work, that's just for storage.
It's
So
just
it's behind the building, so it's not visible. The plan would be to have the building and then the storage behind it.
Okay, so you won't be, it
You
won't
won't
be
see it.
visible from the street?
Right.
And is the gravelled route, is it from the street all the way to the back? Is there any level of impervious pavement that you're,
Right now, there's no plan for that.
would you be open
I'd be
to,
open. I'd be open.
maybe a portion of that?
Sure,
Because
like
the
the
gravel kind of has a
driveway.
lot of dirt and
Yeah.
things like that onto the road.
Would be willing to pave the entranceway.
The entrance, okay.
Yeah.
And the existing structure will be used as your office.
Yes.
Okay.
Currently, what kind of traffic flows back and forth from your business out to the
Not
street?
honestly, not much. In the morning time and the evening, once a day, for like when the trucks leave to go to their job sites, and then when they return.
Okay.
But as far as like during the business hours, myself and our office manager, about the only people that go in and out during
So,
the day.
what are your hours of operation, I guess?
Oh, we're 8 to 5. Sorry.
What is the industrial light manufacturing to your north at 1940 Rockdale Industrial Boulevard? What building? What's the name of the?
1940.
Well, on your adjacent zoning, the second item says there's an industrial and light manufacturing facility to your north at 1940 Rockdale Industrial Boulevard. What kind of
There's-
building, what kind of operation is that? Do you know?
They're around. Like, I'm not sure exactly
It's
which from
across the
1940s, but I can tell you what's around us. There's several machine and industrial maintenance companies right there. There's Phoenix, and then there's a welding shop. I'm sure that man's name. He's just to the east of us, or of the proposed one. He's to the west
I'm
of us.
guessing it's the welding shop because
Yeah.
the other three are not anything but storage, vehicle parking, and an office building for a landscaper.
Right. Yeah. That has to be the welding shop that's been
Okay,
there.
it's a welding shop.
Yeah.
Says, I just look on the internet, it says cellophone, but I don't know what that means.
So yeah,
Uh,
that's actually one of our customers. We do maintenance for them.
Okay, that's what it says for 1940 on
Okay.
here, so. Okay, maybe that's what it is. Okay. Other questions? So, we're to prove this. It says to allow the property to be used for something you're not using it for. What would you put on the application to allow the property to be used for, what would you call it?
We're a machine shop and industrial and maintenance
Okay,
for industries.
okay. Machine shop and maintenance, okay. Chris?
Chairman and Plan Commissioners, you can always add a condition to specify that condition on there if you want to. If you're not still unsure, you can always add that condition on there specifically.
Right. But you have in there the conditions, M1 uses only.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Had to take care of it. I didn't want to, if we approve it, say,
Oh, yeah, I
allow
understand,
that.
but
Yeah, that's
just
solid.
just point of clarification.
right, okay. All right.
Well, I would like to add an additional condition regarding the concrete paving. Like in the entryway, the first maybe 50 to 75 feet, just to kind of get rid of all the gravel and things like that before the road.
Okay.
And you said you are open to that?
I mean, if we can pay there, we can do crush run or asphalt. Asphalt probably be preferable to me. That's okay.
I think that works.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do we have anybody signed up in support or against? All right. Okay. So we'll now close the public hearing. In discussion. Okay. Motion?
So how are we going to, I'd like to move to add an additional condition, and that the first, I guess, it's kind of hard to see, maybe 50, 75 feet of paving to be asphalt.
To the existing building,
From, I'm looking here to that parking space, how far is that?
I think it's about 50 feet.
About 50 feet? Okay, that's right. That's about 4 cars, yeah.
Okay, so what, can you say 50 feet?
The first 50 feet entry to be impervious like asphalt,
Okay,
asphalt paved.
all right, first 50 feet being impervious surface,
Mhm.
like, such as asphalt. I would also add for the property to be utilized for machine shop and maintenance. I want to check with the county, though. Is that M1? Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you, Chris. All right. Is that okay? That was your motion, so, okay. So would you be willing to add that to your motion?
Yes.
Okay, all right, since it's yours, okay. All right, so to summarize, we have a motion to approve rezoning from 1.07 acres from R1 to M1 for the purpose of a machine shop and manufacturing with the condition of 50 feet of impervious surface from the location, is it?
From the street, I think Old Covington.
No, I mean, where did the 50 feet of concrete or asphalt is? You asked for 50 feet of,
50 feet of asphalt from Old Covington into the property.
from Old Covington to the property,
Mhm.
okay.
The
all
entry
right.
drive.
Okay, entryway, all right. Is there a second on that?
Second.
A second, okay. Any just further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, motion carries. Item R2, it's a future land use case 2023-01, the rezoning case 2023-08. It's a request by Ross Mundy to amend the future land use category from commercial to high density. Request by Ross Mundy to rezone 7.7 acre parcel on 1816 Parker Road, tax parcel number 075001025 from C2 general commercial to RM residential multifamily for the construction of 66 townhome units. Parcel is 075001025, size is 7.7 acres, and the applicant is Ross Mundy.
Good evening again, Commissioners. Again, the zoning applicant is, again, Ross Mundy. He's making 2 requests. He's asking to amend the future land use map from, again, commercial to high density, and is also asking to rezone the current zoning from C2 to RM for residential multifamily for the construction of 66 townhomes. The subject property, again, is located at 1816 Parker Road. Above you is the current site plan of the subject, not site plan, survey of the site plan of the subject property, survey of the subject property. Primary access and frontage is along Parker Road. It is abutting another C2 property that has access along Parker Road. Again, overall size of the property is 7.7 acres. To give a few highlights of the project summary, the applicant is looking to do a total density of 8.41 units per acre. The RM zoning district does allow for 12 units per acre, so the applicant is underneath the threshold for that. The proposed townhomes right now, the applicant is proposing is a minimum of 700 square feet. However, they can go up to 1,200 square feet, which would be a 4-bedroom. The applicant is, again, proposing pocket parks, green space, and a dog park along as far as its amenities. There will be sidewalks throughout the property and along the frontage. And as well as there will be a 20-foot transitional buffer adjacent to the commercial properties and to the south, and 2 family residential properties to the east. Again, with all our zoning applications, we do provide a technical analysis with you in your packet. Again, staff did provide a technical analysis, and therefore staff did recommend approval of this application with 12 conditions. Not going to read all of them unless requested. And again, I do ask you to withhold your questions until the applicant has presented, and your questions may be answered at that time.
Thank you, Chris. All right, we'll now hear from the applicant.
Thank you, Christopher. Good evening, Chairman and committee members. I'm Ross Mundy. We're excited about this. I'm here on behalf of the Harville Estate. They actually have owned this land since 138 was a gravel road, which goes back to the 50s, I think. With all the county infrastructure in this corridor at Parker Road and Flat Shoals, we see the need for more rooftops here. Okay, we have a corner market across the street. We have sidewalks down Parker, up Flat Shoals. You have shopping, banking. It abuts the Lowe's parking lot at the corner. Across the access road is a quad development called Silver Summit. I've actually gone and met a few of those folks. And that's a 55 and older community, so they would love some younger people as neighbors. Sorry. Just had to say that. So, I'm getting up there. Don't worry. All right, so that's pretty much it. We're trying to do, and we're not going to be anywhere near a 700 square foot unit. They're going to be 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,700 square feet. We do have 2-car garages, but we don't think people are going to need cars living there. They can have them, but they won't need them. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? Come on up here.
Hello, Chairman and Commissioner. I'm Mark Walton with Patrick and Associates, and I'm working with Mr. Mundy. I do have a comment about condition number 9. The staff is recommending that we have a 50-foot transitional buffer up against the Lowe's driveway there, because that property was actually R2, is what the
I typoed it wrong. I think.
yeah, where the computer shows. No, actually on the county computers, it shows that is zoned R2. And actually, I think the chairman was involved. That's from the county website, and it shows that Silver Summit and the driveways here being R2, which would require a 50-foot transitional buffer. It's actually, that property was rezoned in 2004 to R3, which was the equivalent of multifamily. It was a multifamily zoning for Rockdale County. And I will leave this with the staff. So if you all deem to approve this with conditions, can you put a little asterisk by number 9 until staff verifies? And I'm just going to leave this with Mr. Wheeler, that showing the case number and that these are actually quad units rather than duplex units, which would be R2. Thank y'all. Thank you.
I have it. So these are going to be all 3-bedroom townhomes?
Yes, sir, that's the plan.
That's what it says there, okay.
Okay, 'cause
So we have, what's the square footage of these? The
We're
county
figuring out
Right.
exactly the square footage, but minimum probably 1,500 square feet, minimum. And I know the zoning allows for much less, but 15, 16, 17, we're just still working out exactly the square footage.
Okay.
But we are in agreement with the exterior facade recommendations. We just wanted to clarify the setback on the one side of the property.
And are these going to be fee simple houses? Are they going to be rentals or?
We want to leave the options open for that. If we did go that route, we would have a national property management firm that would run the whole development. We would write that in the bylaws of the covenants, so it's not one-off. It would be one company that collects the rent. Included in the rent would be the maintenance of the common areas, the HOA that we would pay if you own the property. I don't know which way we're going yet, but we don't want to lock ourselves in yet. But we would write that in the bylaws, for the covenants.
these garages on the townhomes, are they going to be, and the units, are they going to be rear facing, front facing?
They are front facing, which I understand the aesthetics, but we do like the fact that they have a backyard, which we were planning to fence in, so it does give them a little more usable space. But the way the property lays out, it's kind of an awkward site, so we do have front facing garages.
Can I just ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
You are aware that those will be individually metered for water?
I don't have an answer on that, do you? Individually metered for water is the building.
Typically, what we've done in the past, even if it's a public street, then they're typically 99% individually metered. If it's a rental unit, where the roadways are, we put that in an easement, utility easement, and then we can have the individual meters, dedicate the infrastructure to Rockdale Water Resources, have to post maintenance bond, and then do individual meters.
So are you saying they would all be individual meters in some capacity?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You mentioned the 66 townhomes. You're not sure whether or not there's going to be a rental community versus owner. That's, like for instance, if it's going to be ownership, then maybe, usually we have a certain percentage that is on that can be rented out.
Sure.
Versus it to be 100% rental. Is there a reason why? So are you just developing the property and then selling it?
At this point, personally, I want to develop it, build it, sell it. But I don't want to box myself in. But in other words, you're saying typically there's a percentage, 20%, grabbing a number that can be rentals.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would go one or two ways. I think it would all sell or all rent, personally. And I think that keeps it in some level of conformity, instead of having, mixed residents. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did.
Okay.
You did. And then, this is what I was talking about with the traffic impact study. We don't have a traffic impact study to determine
the good news, we did have an impact traffic study, and with the median on Parker Road, it's one way in, one way out, so you don't have cross traffic. And so in other words, in summary, I didn't read the 60 pages, but
I didn't either.
It's said.
It said we're good.
Okay.
You all set? So, yes, hi.
Thank you.
Couple questions
Yes,
for
ma'am.
you. We typically do a 5% rental here on buys.
Okay.
That's all that's allowed usually.
Not yet.
So you're saying 1,500 to 1,700 square feet, 3.2. If it ended up being all rentals, and that's an if, what price point are you looking at? And what price point are you looking at sales?
Oh, it might be more expensive if it's rentals, but I'm thinking 350 to 400
For sale?
for one unit.
Yes. And I do have to say I like that you put pocket parks in and did all that. I prefer rail-loaded from an aesthetic principle. I think they look better. Yeah, you lose a little back, but you can gain a lot more front where the kids can play. So.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just me. I'm just checking my notes. Okay, so you really don't know which way you'd head yet?
Not yet, but I don't want to hold you up from saying yay.
Well, hard to make a decision if you don't know which way they're heading. It's the problem.
Any other questions?
Oh, and Chris, so what I read is this is, under its present zone, is certainly usable in this area.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, it's commercial. It is. I mean, at the present time, it can be used as commercial.
Right, and it would fit into the uses presently.
Yes.
Okay.
Chris,
Thank
you have in the recommendations minimum square feet for efficiency and 4-bedroom.
That's in just our code. That's our county
That's
code. It's
their
just
code.
700. That is, again, that's just the
So you
minimum.
don't have anything for a 3-bedroom or?
No. Only thing we have down for the minimum that we have in our application, again, is that 1,200. But again, the applicants indicated that his sizes are going to be quite large, or going to be larger than that. So this is just, we're based off our information we got in our code again. So what was it again, Mr. Mundy? Yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
1,500. So.
All right. Oh, the thing about the buffer, do you have any question about the 50-foot buffer against Lowe's?
We'll confirm that, because again, the county zoning map didn't show that. So again, we'll go back and we'll have to go through the archives to find that, just to confirm as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have anybody signed up in support? Anybody signed up in opposition? No? Okay. All right. All right. So that's, in the, there will be another hearing. The Board of Commissioners will be hearing this, and they'll make the final decision. Yes. Yes, you need to. You'll need to sign. Yeah, you'll need to sign up. Okay. All right. You're welcome. All right. We are closing the public portion of this hearing and now going into board discussion. No motion.
I don't know how to make this happen or not happen based on not knowing. It's confusing to me, whether it be all rental or buy with a 5% or what.
Yeah.
And then, although, like I said, the
Ms.
fact
Lambert,
that they
can you
put-
speak into the mic a little
Sure.
bit? Thank you.
Sorry. I was saying it's hard to make a decision when you don't know, is this going to be rental? Is this going to be buy with some provision of rental in it? Yeah.
We're going to sell them. We'll sell them.
Fix that.
That that point.
All right. Well, we make that. You can make that a
Make
recommendation, right?
Right.
All right.
A recommendation,
Right.
condition that they be sale.
Condition
And-
number 13, right?
Right.
And then you can have no more than
5%
5%
rental.
is what we normally do.
Right.
All right.
So, because I do think the design is good and the pocket parks and all that stuff sort of answers to what's coming and should be coming. I just, without knowing, it's,
Okay. Yeah, we got.
I know you're trying to leave your options open and I'm trying to protect the community. So,
All right.
those were my only concerns.
Okay. Anybody else have? All right. I'm open for a motion. Would like to make one?
Yeah, I motion that we adopt, do I have to do two?
Yes. You need a future land use plan and then
Okay.
the rezoning.
Yep. Future land use for case number 2023-01, tax parcel numbers 07500100025. And is that all I need for that, buddy? So we have to do that one first, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Motion,
Do we add the conditions on this one or the next one?
The next one.
the
will have
next one on the
next one,
rezone.
The rezoning will have the conditions. All
I'll
right.
second.
Okay, we have second. Okay. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Motion, any opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Now to the rezoning.
Motion to rezone tax parcel number 07500100257.77 acres from C1, C2 to RM, with the condition that units are to be sold and there will be a 5% rental cap.
Okay. And are you adding the approval with the conditions of the county also?
Yes.
You want to amend that motion?
What am I, the,
Just adding
Adding the-
condition number 13
Yeah.
to be all sellable.
yeah, and condition number 13 to be all sellable, and condition 14 will be a 5% cap on
Right.
rental.
All right, and that's added to the county's recommendations?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. All right. Is there, we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Moving on to item R3, future land use case number 2023-02 and rezoning case 2023-09. Request by Caballero Holdings to amend the future land use plan from office industrial to high density. A request by Caballero Holdings LLC to rezone a 15.5 acre parcel on Northwest Ebenezer Road and 0 Highway 138 from AR Agricultural Residential District to MRU Mixed Residential Use District for the construction of the mixed single-family residential development. Parcel number 045-001-0018, size 15.5 acres, and the applicant is Caballero Holdings LLC.
Good evening, Commissioners, again. The applicant is, again, Caballero Holdings. The applicant is requesting this evening, a request to amend the future land use map from office institutional to high density, and to request the current zoning from AR to MRU, mixed residential zoning for the construction of mixed single-family residential development. The subject property, again, is located at the intersection of Ebenezer and Highway 138. Again, the total size is 15.5 acres. The subject property has frontage along Highway 138 and Ebenezer. Just a few points of interest on the site plan. The applicant has indicated that there will be access points along Ebenezer and Highway 138. The applicant also indicated that the total density for the subject property would be 7.65 units per acre. MRU zoning allows for 8 units per acre, so the applicant is under that threshold. The total of units they're looking to do is 66 townhomes and 27 single-family detached lots. The proposed setbacks, again, will fall in line with the MRU zoning category. Front setback is 15 feet, side is 15, and the rear is 25. The proposed unit size for the townhomes are going to be 1,800 square feet. The applicant did propose 5-foot sidewalks inside the actual development. The applicant did indicate that there will be pocket parks in the development as well. The applicant is indicating that they are doing open green space for the triangle part that's located to the east or southern east portion of the other triangle part located south of the main property located off Highway 138 is the. My math teacher would say, I want to say isosceles triangle, but probably that's not correct. So I'm just going to say just triangle. So,
Failed geometry, huh?
yeah, so, that's why I'm a planner.
Right.
It also is going to provide a 25-foot landscape strip. Again, with all our applications, we do provide technical analysis, not geometry. With all that, we do recommend approval with 13 conditions. Again, we're not going to read all of them, but they are in your package for you to review. Like always, I do ask you to please hold your questions until the applicant has presented, because your questions may be answered at that time.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, we'll now hear from the agent or applicant.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hope you're all doing well.
Right.
My name is Josh Mahoney, and I'm an attorney at Battle Law PC.
A little bit, there we go.
Can you all hear me better now?
That's better, thank you.
Great. So once again, my name is Josh Mahoney. I'm an attorney at Battle Law PC, located at 3562 Habersham at Northlake in Tucker, Georgia, and I am here this evening speaking on behalf of the applicant. I am, of course, here this evening to discuss the proposed future land use amendment and rezoning of the property located at the corner of Ebenezer and Georgia Highway 138 Southwest. We are, of course, looking to develop 66 townhomes and 27 single-family detached homes, all of which will be for sale.
All right.
I'm going to wait just one moment to jump to the area map, if you would, please. Okay. So you may have noticed on the site plan that Mr. Wheeler showed that only the portion highlighted in yellow was developed. That is because the portion highlighted in red, our intention is, if this application is approved, our intention is to donate that property to Heritage High School, as you can see, just abutting west of that property. So that'll become the school's property to do with as they please, and we will just keep the portion outlined in yellow.
So you're not going for rezoning that?
We do
Right.
unfortunately have to include it in the rezoning because it's actually one parcel that's split by the entrance to that other neighborhood.
Oh.
If you look at the map, it's a little odd. It shares a parcel
Yeah.
number, so we do have to include it. But afterwards, we can donate it, and if the county wants to initiate to rezone it to something more suitable, then
And
the
how
county
many
can
acres
certainly
will
do
be
that.
donated to the high school? To the school system?
So I think the total between the two pieces is 15. We're keeping 12.15, so the balance, I think it's 3.7 acres. Will go to the high school.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're showing the zoning map now. Currently, the subject property is zoned AR for agricultural residence, and the future land use is both office and commercial. This property is not a good fit for an agricultural development of any kind. It exists at a commercial node. The intersection of Ebenezer and the highway is a commercial node, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to have a farm or a very large lot with farm animals or farm activities going on. But nor does it make a lot of sense to move the existing commercial node onto this property to have these single-family homes that currently exist immediately abut a restaurant or a self-storage facility or something like that. A much better use is what we're proposing, to rezone the property and change the future land use to create a suitable transition from the existing single-family homes to the commercial node by developing a mixture of single-family detached homes and townhomes. We'd like to point out that the planning staff, in their staff report, said this very thing, that developing the property in this way would, in fact, create that transition from the single family into our use, which is single family, which would back up right up to the existing single family, into the townhomes, into that commercial use. So you have this kind of ramp up in intensity, rather than the commercial moving onto this property and abutting right up against the single family detached homes. On our site plan, I'd like to point out a couple of features. All the way around the property, we're proposing a 25-foot landscape buffer that'll separate the existing single-family homes from this development. And we are also proposing pocket parks and green space throughout the development from east to west. As a matter of fact, we are proposing 57,556 total square footage of green space and pocket parks throughout our development, all of which will be accessible to all the residents via a network of sidewalks that are all street lit throughout the development. As we move on to the elevations, you can see that there's a healthy mixture of high quality materials, including brick, and all units will have a 2-car garage. What this means is, in addition to the driveway that each unit will have, we are well above the minimum required parking. The minimum required parking is 145 spots for this entire development, and we're coming in at 405. That's mostly due in part because we have 2-car garages, 2 spots on the driveways, which comes to about, I think, 373 spots, plus parking throughout for guests so that nobody's parking in the street and blocking the lanes. We can go ahead and jump to the next elevation just to see what the townhomes look like. Again, another healthy mixture of high quality materials that also include brick, also have that 2-car garage, and also have that driveway for those spots. Some other things to point out, the southern edge of the property where those townhomes are, those will be rear loaded and they will face out onto the street. We will have a mandatory HOA to maintain all of the common space. And the units will start at 1,800 square feet. Those are for the townhomes. Single-family detached homes will, of course, be much larger. I think we're looking at 2,300 square feet, somewhere in there. 2,300 square feet for the single-family detached, so pretty good size home. But with that, that's all I have for you all this evening. I'm open to any questions or concerns you might have.
Are the, I'm having trouble. Are the townhomes don't have a common wall? They're separated? Or I'm trying to look at this picture and I see a space in between them.
So the townhomes will have a common wall. What you're probably seeing is the door that's kind of set back a little bit.
Right.
So that's not a space. There's the entrance there, and then there's a shared wall for the townhomes.
Yeah.
There's siding there. The roofs are separate. Am I looking at this?
Right. So what you see are a clear delineation of each unit, but when you see the space, that's where that piece is set back, where folks will be able to enter.
Is there like a firewall between each building?
Is there? Yeah, there should be a firewall. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And of course, sprinkler systems throughout the entire complex.
Sprinkler systems throughout the complex. Sprinkler systems. We can get that information for you. We don't have it in the plan, but we can get the.
No, but I didn't see it. But in the townhomes, are they not required?
No. Okay, I'm hearing yes, they are sprinkled and it is required, so they're going to be sprinkled.
Okay, let's just double check.
So you said these are for sale?
Yes.
Okay. And just so you know, as you heard before, usually we have the condition of no more than 5% rental.
Don't encourage you.
Well, if you say for sale, then people can the people that
Well,
own
that's
it can
okay.
rent it.
I
So
retract that.
that may not be have anything in their control. So that's why I put it in there. So,
Well, then I suggest we add it to the conditions.
right.
So, sir, question for you. Maybe I misread, but I'm just confirming for myself. The single family are how many bedrooms?
The single family are how many bedrooms?
Yes.
3 bedrooms.
3.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe it's the conditions that's listing it as 6? Or did I misinterpret?
You said you saw 6?
I did.
Big.
Which condition are you looking at?
I think
No, it's
something
just-
with 6 units.
It's just laying out. And then the townhomes.
That's the 6 units for the townhome. So
Thank
yeah.
you.
Right.
And the townhomes would be again 3 bedroom also.
3 bedrooms? Townhomes? Yes.
Yes.
How many
Thank
bathrooms? 2 baths? 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Okay. We always ask, is there a price point you're hoping for?
So as you're well aware, I'm sure the housing market is in flux. Right now, we're targeting 300,000 as a starting point, and it'll likely go up from there.
For the
Townhomes,
town, okay, and what about this, a single family?
higher than 300,000.
I do that, okay. All right, okay, all right. I know we can't, condition to a price, it just ask.
I understand.
Anyway, all right,
And
all right.
you said you were going to put in pocket parks and such?
Yes.
Where? Give me an idea.
Can we put the
Can you
site
put
plan up on
something
the
up?
screen? Okay.
Thank you. Because you're pretty
So-
packaged in.
If you were going to start on the east side of
Uh-huh.
the plan, the space behind the townhome units on the eastern side,
Uh-huh.
it kind of is behind it and also on the corner. So
Yes.
that's all green space.
Okay.
And then each space that you see throughout that center strip that's not townhome is all pocket park.
Okay.
And then up at the west corner,
Uh-huh.
that large piece there, that is also a pocket park.
Okay.
I believe that's the largest one, maybe coming in at about 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
I'd have to
No,
get
that's
much
okay.
closer to read it.
Okay.
I'm on top of it and I can't read. Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank
course.
you. Any other questions?
So there's no clubhouse or anything like that for the area, just the pocket parks is the only amenity? that you
Yeah,
have?
no clubhouse or anything like that.
Okay.
This is coming in at 93 total units, so not quite large enough to support that. If we had that, then the HOA dues would be astronomical.
What's the relationship? I know you mentioned, which is nice, the relationship with Heritage High School. Why the donation? Is there a need that you're addressing?
Well, that honestly is an excellent question for my client who's been working with the school. I would have to think that it would be because this portion of the land is not attached. So to have a development on either side of the entrance might be a little awkward, and that piece is immediately adjacent to the school. Beyond that, I'm not sure if there's any more reason for the donation.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't hear you.
The school said that they were interested in it, and they asked if we would give it to them. It sounds like we're just gonna.
Do you know what their plans are?
No.
No, they're probably.
No.
Is there a requirement for an HOA?
Mandatory HOA will be in our covenants. Yes.
It's not mentioned, though, right?
It's not in the conditions, but it will be in our covenants. Because we have to have some way to maintain the common space. No one private owner is going to take that upon themselves, so in order to take care of it, we will require an HOA to exist. And when people buy in, they will have to agree to that covenant.
And typically, this is just edification. Your monthly HOA for a project like this start out?
That is beyond me.
Huh?
I just do the zoning.
Okay.
I can try to get you some example HOA dues for similar developments, though.
Okay. It's okay, it's just a question, I'm
Okay.
just curious.
I understand.
All right.
I know you touched on this, but could you go over the parking for each, whether it be a townhome
Absolutely,
or?
yeah. So each
Single
unit
family?
will have a 2-car garage.
Mhm.
Each unit will have a driveway capable of holding 2 additional cars.
Two additional.
So right off the bat,
That's
we're
4.
looking at 373 parking spaces
So those 2 cars in the garage, then 2 more cars can park outside the garage,
in the driveway.
in the driveway.
And then throughout the development, it's a little hard for me to see from here, but in between the townhomes, there's parking where you can parallel park outside of the lane for guests or what have you to visit. It brings the total number of parking spaces to 400 and I think I said 5, which is well above the minimum required for this, which is 145. Yeah, 405.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anybody sign up in support? Right, okay. Opposition? Okay.
The first person to sign up is Miss Loretta McIntosh.
My name is Loretta McIntosh, and I oppose.
Please speak into the microphone. Thank you.
I oppose of all these developers trying to come here and tear down Conyers. We love our greenery, and when is it going to stop? I mean, you all have the power to stop this. I mean, when is it going to stop? Until we all like sardines? We don't have, we just love our greenery. And we just, this has to stop. I mean, why not put something family-oriented where, you know, families can get together? All these homes going up is just not right. And I just feel like sometimes it's just a waste of time coming to these meetings because I think they're already a done deal. And I thought more people would show up, but I know why, because these signs went up so quick, these public notice signs, and where they're posted, I mean, you can't really stop because they're in a dangerous section where you can't even get out and read them. I just so happened to see it and I took a picture. But it went up so fast that, you know, it's dangerous. People can't even read the signs. So we just want this to stop. This is not right. You know, we are hardworking, you know, that's why we moved here, for the country scenery. And all these homes going up is just not right. And you all have the power to stop this. This has got to stop. Thank you.
Serena, where do you live around the?
I'm on Tucker Mill.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm just trying to cover my little section.
Right.
You know, but when is it going to stop?
Okay.
Have they met with the community?
I don't.
So you're saying you made a mistake. You thought the meeting was in September, so you've planned to have a meeting with the homeowners, but you haven't, because when you thought the meeting was. And when do you plan to have this meeting? August 21st, okay.
The 21st, you said?
All right. August 21st.
And where?
Oh, where would this meeting be? A Zoom meeting. Right.
Zoom.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person is Miss Jonette McFarland.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Jonette McFarland, and I want to ask you a question. I don't want you to answer me. I want you to ponder it. When is enough enough? Let me just say this before I get to the main course. Flat Shoals Road, townhouses. They look like projects. They're so close together that it doesn't make any sense. In the middle of single-family homes, all of a sudden, there's a huge plot of townhouses. Two-way street. I guess the traffic information was done, but we have a two-way lane here, and you have so many townhouses. Flat Shoals Road, Old Salem Road, townhouses. You got well-established single-family homes here, and you got these new townhomes here. What are the people going to do when they want to sell their homes? What happens to the value of their homes? Hard-working people that have worked all their lives to obtain a home, and now because all of these townhouses that look like projects are directly across the street from them, what do they do now? I've worked 46 years paid all my taxes, and so have they. What kind of return are they going to get? Okay? That was Old Salem Road. Miller's Chapel Road, two lanes, okay? We got single-family homes going up that can't be any more than 4 to 5 feet apart. If somebody flushes the toilet next to them, they're going to hear it. We got apartments, 96 apartments stacked on top of each other. Miller's Chapel Road on one side. On the other side of Miller's Chapel Road, townhouses again. And now they want more townhouses. When will it stop? Conyers is not an urban city. Conyers was a place where people could come and enjoy the greenery. I've heard words like tree preservations. Well, they have raked the trees out of Conyers. Absolutely, and I have to use that word because that's how serious it is. The traffic is unbelievable. Traffic studies. What studies? 2-lane streets on all of them. One of the worst things I think we could have done here in Conyers, and it's happening all over the United States, mixed housing. Why? Single-family homes should be in an area, and apartments and townhouses should be in another area. Just like the young lady said, you all can stop this. The developers have smelled blood in the water because every time you turn around, here they come. And just like she said, public notices, you can't read them. They're on the busy side of the street. So they get to come in here and express what they want. And sometimes we don't even know that they're here. This is hideous. And the people of Conyers who have lived here for a long time don't deserve this, y'all. You know that. They don't deserve this. This is crucial and this is critical. And I just wanted to say that this does have to stop. You all are running people away. We don't know who's coming in our community. And we talk about parking. You know, the average family has at least 3 cars. And they got teenagers. And they have cars. And the teenagers have friends. And the teenagers have no respect for community. And we know that. The crime rate is off the chart here now. You all have to really consider and really be considerate about what is really happening in Conyers. They can go somewhere else. Conyers has enough. Everybody is up to here with all of this building. Please, if you haven't already, please do us a favor. Ride around the area and see what is happening. Please. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else? Okay.
I have
We
a
have-
question for.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate your comment, and you're not alone in what you're saying. So I'm curious, if you've talked with people, how do you suggest that Conyers moves forward into the future? I know that there's a difficult dance with keeping the integrity that we have now versus continued development and growth. So how do you suggest?
That's a very good question. First of all, you have to stop all the building of the townhouses and the apartments. It's enough. Secondly, we really need to look into good business that can bring revenue into Conyers. Seven Gables was here for over 30 some odd years. When they left, we got another liquor store. Oh, not a liquor store, a super liquor store. Conyers has about, 17 liquor stores in it as it is. You can go to every grocery store and buy alcohol. You can go to every Walmart. We didn't need another one of those. We need good businesses. We want good businesses that will offset the taxes. Because as we know, the taxes are going up. We need good businesses in Conyers. No more single-family homes, no more townhouses, no more apartments. The traffic is bad enough. That's how I would suggest, let's get on a committee that can research what kind of good businesses that we can bring in here. We're not an urban city. We're not. I hate that word. We are a city of individuals that want better. We want quiet. We want good stores. We want what I call draw stores, D-R-A-W. Something that'll bring people in from other counties. Get their dollars too, because we go to their counties. Get their dollars too. Conyers deserves better. That's what I say. Good businesses now. No more of these townhouses. I mean, everywhere you look, all of our, one of the things that we loved when we were looking at Conyers was how beautiful it was, how green it was, the tall trees of Georgia. It has hurt my heart to see what has happened in Conyers. Please do not let these developers do this. And you know, if they say they want to sue you, tell them that you will meet them, because your constituents is who you represent. And I know you got a fund for that, okay? You will meet them in court. Do not let that frighten you, because enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have, that's all to speak, okay? We have time for the agent, okay? If you'd like to come up and...
Good evening again, Commissioners. Thank you for this additional time. I've heard a number of concerns this evening, and I'm going to address them the best I can in the order I heard them. And if I miss anything, please let me know, and I will do my best to address it. I'm going to speak up before I start. I heard that the community loves their greenery. They love the trees that are in the county, and they love the trees that are in the city. Unfortunately, this is a privately owned parcel. It's owned by another citizen of the county, and they have every right to sell it or develop it or use it just like the rest of the citizens of the county. If this is to be preserved as a park or kept as undeveloped space, then the county is going to have to purchase this property. Otherwise, the county will have effected a taking on this property owner's property. I heard that the community is interested in family-oriented development. I don't know what's more family-oriented than a single-family detached home or even a townhome where someone like me can start a family and, you know, enjoy the green space with my children. As for the public notice signs, I understand. I drive past public notice signs all the time, and I do know that they are difficult to read. In preparation for our community, we sent out mailers to the people who are within, I think it was 1,000 feet of the property, and we went ahead and just added everybody that was in the subdivision to the north. That should have arrived in everybody's mailbox, and everyone should have been able to read that. And when we have our meeting on the 21st, we will be able to inform everybody of what we're trying to do and give everybody a good look at the site plan, hear all the questions, hear all the concerns, and even try to incorporate some of the ideas that we hear at that meeting into our plan. We're still early enough to do that, we think. I've heard a concern about value. I stated earlier that we are starting our townhomes at $300,000, and the single-family detached homes will be more than that. If a townhome is worth $300,000, the surrounding single-family detached homes just have to be more. They just carry more value. People value them more. So if we're able to sell a townhome at $300,000, the rest of the single-family detached homes, their value should go up, especially with an HOA in place to maintain the property and keep it looking nice. Shouldn't have any sort of dilapidated buildings, and the green space should stay nice for folks who are interested in moving to the area. And then lastly, I heard that there's a desire for good businesses in the county. I agree. You know, I did a little bit of time in planning school, so I am familiar with how you attract businesses to an area, and it really comes down to having a lot of people living in an area with an expendable income. What it relates to is if there's more homes in an area, there's more people with expendable income who can go to those good businesses. That's what good businesses are looking for when they're looking to come to an area, densely populated areas, more, at least higher than a rural area. So by building more homes, you can start to attract those good businesses. And this is just a start. We put the this development at this corner. There's already a commercial node there, but with more rooftops, that node might start to look more attractive to good business. Not saying the businesses that are there are bad, but it might attract some other businesses to come look at that corner as well. Again, thank you for this additional time. I want to highlight in the last few seconds I have that our community meeting, for you and the community listening, our community meeting will be held via Zoom on August 21st at 6 p.m. It will be recorded, so if you can't make it, we're happy to share that with you. You can share the recording with your neighbors and friends who weren't able to make it. And I'll also have a PowerPoint presentation, probably the same one we showed this evening, that we can send you as well to share with whomever you'd like. If you did not receive an invitation, I'll give out my email to anyone who's interested after this meeting so that we can make sure you all get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we now close the public portion of the meeting. And Chris, do you have anything to add or say or anything? Or
No, sir. Unless you have questions of me, no, I have nothing to add.
all right.
Okay.
Well, I think this is a right in terms of ruling on this. I don't know that we could rule on this tonight. They're going to have a meeting for the public, and I think that's great. So I recommend we not rule on this tonight and wait till after the, hearing the public. I know we can make no recommendation.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
okay, all right.
Right. But I approve or deny anything until this meeting and recommend to the Board of Commissioners to come back to us. Any other thoughts on that?
I concur. I think there needs to be a little more time for the local residents for input.
Right. And they're agreeing to do that, so it's a no-brainer.
And you'll be able to provide the Zoom link to anyone that requests it?
Yes.
Good. Yeah,
Chris?
go ahead. Come on.
Just for formality, can you do a motion to say no recommendation so we can put it in our minutes and
Yeah,
so
we're
forth?
going to do that.
Okay.
In discussion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just anxious. I apologize.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's a good point. We will. Okay. Yes. And we're in this board discussion. I know. Okay. Yeah. So is there any, no recommendation? Would
Okay.
be the
And request that the BOC return it to us after the meeting?
correct.
Okay.
And then I'll clarify to everybody if we have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we do a motion of no recommendation and request that the BOC return it back to us after the meeting that they have for the residents.
Second.
Oh, and we
Hold on.
need to have two of them, one for the
Right.
future land use plan and one for the rezoning, technically. So this is for the future land use plan recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And there's a second? Okay,
Second.
okay. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, that's future land use plan. For the rezoning? The rezoning, yeah.
I'll make the same motion for the rezoning that we make no recommendation and request that the BOC returns it back to us for review after the Zoom meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. So let me explain what happens so everybody knows. We're the planning commissions who are a recommending body. So this will now go forward to the Board of Commissioners who makes the final recommendation. So you should go to that meeting too. We've recommended they send it back to us after the community meeting, in which case we will vote on it again, and in which case our vote would then go back to the Board of Commissioners for a ruling. Okay. And just for clarification, when is the Board of Commissioners meeting? What's that? Sorry.
August 24th.
August 24th at 6 o'clock in this same room. Okay. You know.
Evening meeting?
It's 6 o'clock for, yeah. Okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. All right. So, moving on. Thank you all. All right, we have a item R4, CIC case number 2023-01. This is to amend the conditions of approval for zoning case 2021-05. The applicant requested to modify 6 conditions related to the 10.37 acre property located at 1076 Honey Creek Road, parcel number 079-002-001. Size is 10.37 acres. The applicant is Caleb Smith.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Again, the applicant is Mr. Caleb Smith. He is coming to you before with a change of conditions application. Mr. Smith is seeking to amend the zoning conditions from RZ 21-05. Subject property is 1076 Honey Creek Road. This application was heard previously in 2021. It was rezoned from R1 to residential multifamily for the construction of townhomes. He's looking to modify 6 conditions and to add an additional condition on the subject property. Right up is the approved site plan. The proposed site plan. There were some reconfigurations to it. Overall, nothing has changed as far as the number of townhomes, but the configuration as far as front loaded and rear loaded. I will go through them each conditions accordingly. The applicant is to rezone the site plan to the June 13th, June 12th submittal by Patrick and Associates. Attached hereto as Exhibit D shall become the guiding layout and design. The actual location of the green space, playground, water quality area, detention, streets, sidewalks, amenity areas, and other depicted improvements shall be subject to the actual site conditions and requirements of the Code of Rockdale County. The site shall be restricted to townhome development not to exceed 67 units and permitted accessory uses. Instead of 36, the applicant is requesting to make that 12 units shall be rear loaded, and instead of 31, 55 units may be front loaded. The number of units shall not exceed 8 units with the approval of variance of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Next is number 3, all garage doors shall be classic style. The applicant is saying higher quality. I'll let him be able to explain that.
Okay. All right.
Number 4, all exterior lighting fixtures directly attached to the dwelling unit shall be classic style. Again, higher quality. I'll let the applicant explain that. Number 5, the covenant conditions and restrictions shall be include a clause to limit the maximum number of homes that can be rented or leased within the development at any one time to no more than 5%. This is a doozy. The applicant is asking for it to be 100% rental. Number 6, all internal streets shall be a minimum of 24 feet wide from face of curb and shall scratched out maintained by homeowners association. Again, the applicant is asking to change this into a rental property. And be noted as Rockdale County standard dictated Rockdale County as noted on the guiding layout. And number 7, all roads and yards are grass areas shall be sodded. Again, these are the request amendment conditions by the applicant. With all our zoning applications, again, staff has provided technical analysis. Again, staff did not find any technical analysis not to disagree with the applicant's request, so therefore staff did recommend approval of his conditions along with the original conditions approved during the original 21 zoning classification. Again, I do ask you to hold off your questions until the applicant has presented, because your questions may have been answered at that time.
All right. Thank you. We have the applicant.
Good evening. I'm Caleb Smith, the applicant for this project. I'll just kind of briefly go through the conditions, I guess, or the items that I would like to modify that Chris explained. This project was previously rezoned in 2021 for residential multifamily, not to exceed 67 units. We're maintaining that, not adding in any additional units in this request. The modification to section number 2 in this category is to adjust the counts for rear-loaded versus front-loaded. What we were trying to achieve is to get more units with an actual private backyard space while maintaining the front-load units facing the street. If you can see Honey Creek Road, from the original guiding layout to this guiding layout, the street presence from Honey Creek Road is exactly the same, having the front-loading units. And then it will actually pick up more rear-loading units as you go into the community. The rear-loading units will be surrounded by, or the entire development will be surrounded by a 6-foot privacy fence. And then the front-load units will have private backyards with fences in between each one. So, let's see. We also are looking to have 8 units in a row instead of 6, and that would require a variance, but that allowed us to open up more space in the pocket park and dog park areas. So, let's see. The garage doors and the exterior lighting, both of those, the previous zoning had conditions basically locking those into a classic style, and so we're just wanting to not be stuck with classic style, but have the option to have a more decorative garage door and exterior lighting package. Let's see, the covenants and restrictions, currently it has the standard 5% rental cap. We would like to have the option to have this development to be 100% rented. If that option is selected, be professionally maintained by a professional management company. I think that would be, if a development is to be 100% rented, managed by an appropriate management company, that could be done in a good way to protect the overall community as a whole, not each individual owner being responsible for maintaining certain things, especially on the front units in the roadside. If 1 or 2 of those individual owners decided, that they did not have the funds to repaint or to repair a roof or anything else, then that would be their responsibility, or during a normal HOA, they would have to work that out. Whereas if it's handled by a management company, the entire community gets paint touch-ups at the same time, or total repaints or roofing and so forth. So that is kind of the reasoning for that. Let's see. If the option, let's see, internal streets, the streets, if the units are to be sold individually, then the request is for those to be dedicated to Rockdale County, to be built to Rockdale County standards and dedicated to the county, like a normal residential single-family neighborhood. And then there was a modification to roadway and yard areas shall all be sodded. So,
Okay. The obvious question is, who determined, what's higher quality? That's not really definable, is it?
being in the construction business, a classic style garage door is just your standard 16 panel, no glass, just a solid garage door, which is, I guess, known as a more cost-effective garage door. So that's what I'm known as, a classic style garage door. So we were not wanting to be held to that standard, but have the option to actually have a more decorative garage door, especially on the front load units that are going to have a garage door facing the street, to have something of higher quality, something nicer looking with a nicer street presence.
So you're saying the higher quality, it's not, it's subjective, it's not subjective when you say higher quality? Is it objective? In other words, it's not an opinion, there is something that considered higher quality in the business?
That the lingo could be modified if you would like.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be restricted to only
Right.
classic style garage doors, having just the bare minimum garage door on the front of the property. So.
So fixtures shall be classic style or higher quality. The same issue here.
Same issue.
Okay.
It shouldn't be restricted to the most cost-effective light fixtures on the front of a residence. So obviously, you've got to have a light fixture, so the most cost-effective option would be purchased at minimum.
So you're asking for, well, number of units shall not exceed 8 units, which we can't, that's up to the, as you noted, the Board of Zoning Appeals.
That's correct.
Okay. So even if we kept the same units without number of units, we'd have to keep the same number of units here, and then you would go to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
That's correct.
To increase it.
Yep.
Okay. Different board. Okay. And so you crossed out maintained by the homeowners association, which means you are, there's an either or here, but you are going to solely rental, correct?
No, there's an either or option on this. So they would be either 100% sold or 100% rented.
But you crossed out maintained by the homeowners association. So if it's 100% sold, you don't want to have a homeowners association?
No, that is that line item is in regards to the streets, the maintenance
Okay.
of the streets themselves, and so
just the streets.
individually owned units. That's correct.
Okay. All right.
So if the units are individually owned,
Right.
they would want county streets throughout the neighborhood.
But that doesn't negate if it's being sold to have a homeowners association. That's just for the streets.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
So, just for my own clarification, you are looking to change it to 100% rental?
No, I'm looking for the option of either or, either
Okay.
100% sold or 100% rental.
Okay.
That's correct.
So, why this versus this? Is there a cost difference to you guys? Just curious.
You talking about the
Front versus
adjustment
back load.
in the count? So the original rezoning was not done by me. I just
Right, right. I'm
going through the
asking why you want front load. Is it ease of build is easier? Is it less effective?
There's not anything.
Is there
it's
any?
for the customer, the consumer. It's more desirable to have a front loading a front loading garage and have a private backyard. Just more people desire that, especially with young families. If you've got pocket parks for kids to play in a playground, then having
Right.
a fenced-in backyard, obviously, I would imagine would be a lot more comfortable
'Cause
for
my-
a mother with kids and not having to worry about.
My experience with townhomes,
Mhm.
because I've lived in them,
Yeah.
is nobody plays in the backyards. So, I think from an aesthetic point,
Yeah,
a backload is nicer. That's just my personal.
a backyard.
Backloaded.
backloaded. Yeah.
Yeah, because aesthetically, I think it looks better.
That's
You're gonna
right.
have pocket parks, there's places for kids to play there. You can make it so it's a walkway around, you don't even drive in that front part. That can all be play area for children and, you know.
You
It's-
could, yeah. There's different
I mean,
ways that
there's
you could look
things
at
you
it.
could do to
I have
make
young
that
kids myself, and I know my
work.
wife would not want so on my personal opinion. If you look at the first section, which is rear load units,
Yes.
Basically your backyard is an alley, which is a common driveway for all the neighbors to utilize. So if my young kids play basketball, I wouldn't want them to be playing basketball in the alley without adult supervision with 12 other neighbors possibly pulling in at the same time. So I would feel a lot more comfortable with them playing ball or whatever in my private backyard as young kids. And as they get older, they could probably walk to the pocket park, but I wouldn't want younger kids walking through the neighborhood going down to a pocket park. So
Well, the front-facing drives, are they pulling out directly onto Honey Creek?
no, the driveway is actually, the front facing is just the front door of the unit. So the driveways are actually utilizing that alley, which is on the one side street that cuts over.
Okay. We're saying correctly.
Any other questions?
With the higher quality classic style, I'm curious as to why you wanted to change that, because typically the specifications on the drawings would always indicate a minimum standard. So having it as a classic style would just be a minimum standard. There's usually no limit to whether or not you want to.
This document, the way this was done, and I wasn't a part of the original writing of this, but these actually say shall be classic style. So these are required to be classic style, both light fixtures and garage doors, per the current zoning conditions.
Would you be okay with something like classic style or better?
Yeah.
Higher quality is
Just
kind of
not be
subjective.
limited to the most cost-effective garage door. We're just not wanting to be limited to, like I said, the most cost-effective style.
So just to be a little bit of a bugaboo here, so just again, so I understand. So 100% rented or 100% sold.
That's right.
With no allocation for rentals at all if it's 100% sold?
It could be, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Because you're crossing off this 5% that we usually allow.
That's right.
So it'd be a non-rental community total if
That's
it's
correct.
sold.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
Is this drawing considered classic style?
Yes, I believe so. That's my interpretation of classic style, yes.
All right, okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
So are the rear loadeds already built over here?
Do what?
12 rear loadeds? No.
They're not.
No. So you're just wanting those because of the fit of that one area?
That maintains the street presence from the initial
Okay.
approved, so it's not really modifying anything
Sure.
from the initial concept. So.
Okay.
You want to change the transitional buffer where you would go to the Board of Zoning Appeals for that, is that correct? To 40, from 50 feet to 40 feet?
That doesn't require.
Code requires 50.
Right.
Or you reduce it in half, or by 10 feet with the additional fence, whichever is less. So we would be adding that privacy fence.
I see, so you don't need to go to the Board of
Yeah,
Appeals.
no.
Understood, okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Anybody
you.
signed up to speak for this? Nobody signed up to speak? Chris, I have a question for you, just kind of a procedural thing. In your recommendation, you mentioned the Board of Zoning Appeals and limited to 8 units. So how does that, why would we even be part of that?
Well, it's a condition that it requires them to actually go forth the zoning appeals because we
Right.
don't have concurrent variances, that option. So again, it would still limit them. They have to go through the variance because it's still a minor deviation from the code. So it still has to be it still
Right.
has to be accepted by the Board of
Sure.
Variances.
But would that be a recommendation from the planning commission, or does it even matter since that's obvious since they have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes, but I mean, it still would be something that it still would be something in the conditions that to be kind of an oversight is in case that we go through the whole development review process and then something happens and somebody misses it, then
That
it could be an
helps.
issue. It helps. So again, I know it seems redundant. It seems like an extra step, but however, it's important that we do this just in case to double check ourselves because we can be inundated with permitting. So one of the things that we always do is check zoning conditions. And one of the things we check with zoning conditions is wherever the zoning condition states, we often say, hey, you need to put that or you need to do this moving forward. And then we'll usually flag it in our permitting system. It says, hey, before you move forward with any other type of development for this permit, you need to make sure you go to the variance board to get approval and upload and all of those things.
Okay, so that helps you not to miss it. That makes
Yes,
sense.
it is really again for staff to make sure that we're
Sure.
crossing all our T's, dotting all our I's, and so forth. So.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, any other questions, or now in board discussion?
So, excuse me, getting tired.
Yeah.
So on this 100%, I would like to see it 100% sold. And if that's the contingency they want with no rentals, I'm good with that, but as opposed to 100% rental. So putting that in there somehow.
100% sold with 5%.
He didn't want any, my understanding is he doesn't want any rental provision. They're either all rentals
Well, I mean,
or all sold.
yeah, right. Well, I mean, it's what we recommend.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't have a problem. I've lived in places that allotted for no rental also. You know, and actually it's, so.
Can
I don't
the
really
Board of
care.
Commissioners or the Planning Commission recommend or make a condition that has to be all sold or all rentals?
I mean, you can propose any condition that you want. We can always have legal just to make sure that it's legally something sound that we can enforce.
Right.
Anything else outside wouldn't be something that we could do. But if you want to, you can put in your conditions. Again, we'll present it to the Board of Commissioners, but also we will vet it with county legal just to make sure again. And if so, we can clean up the language as well to kind of make sure that it's still something that's enforceable and so forth.
Okay. Thank you.
Because the way this reads, it looks like they just want to go to the way I read this.
Sure. Okay. So, based on that, do you have a recommendation or
I don't know.
figuring how to word it, right?
Right. I guess the recommendation is that the project the units be sold
Okay.
and not rented, unless you want to put that 5% in, which,
It's your motion. Okay. That's okay. Well, anybody else have?
well, I think
Before you make it,
I
right?
think for consistency, putting the 5% in is probably wise, only because across the board, that's pretty much
Right.
what we do.
Okay.
And is the HOA included in there somewhere?
Huh?
There was no HOA on this one, was there?
No,
There would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
there,
There either be an HOA or a management company, so.
So would the HOA be the one to govern the 5%?
Yes.
I thought it was a whole development.
It's not legal, is it?
right.
I mean, that's how it's been previously, Tom. I don't know who's checking
That's
up
how
on-
we, yeah, that's how we've done it previously.
Right. I don't know who's checking on that, but.
So it would add, you recommend it, you add to the mandatory homeowners association.
Yes.
Right, okay. All right, so, a mandatory homeowner association, all saleable, sold,
With
sale
5%
houses,
rental.
5% rental, okay.
Mhm.
So kind of, all right, so make the motion? I clarified it for you.
No, you did good. Make a motion that we add a condition to, that the property be 100% saleable, have a HOA association, and 5% rental allowance.
Okay, all right. All right, is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, yes.
Are you accepting the applicant's recommendations to modify with the additional clarification, Planning Commissioner Ms. Lambert included? I just wanted to get clear for our minutes and for the record.
I guess it would be modifying your recommendation.
Modifying our Planning Commission.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, to make clear, approval of conditions of the county, if you want to modify that, with our changes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It does.
Okay, all right. So,
Been up since 4. That's
we're
all I
almost
got
done.
to say.
Okay, all right. So there's amended motion to clarify. Is there a second?
I say.
Second, okay. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, thank you. All righty. Moving on to our... Item R1, 2023 Comprehensive Plan 2023 update. Request to review the contents of the 2023 Comprehensive Plan update. The applicant is the county.
Yes, sir. As part of our 5-year update, again, the county is going through our comprehensive plan update along with the city. In your packet that you received our first draft or final draft of our comprehensive plan update. Again, this is part of our qualifying local government status. Again, that we have to complete. Again, we have to have this done by October. Just to let you know that if you look through your packet and the material of the draft, it looks very similar to the 2018 comprehensive plan. That was done intentionally from us because, again, we went through this process. We actually kind of started our process late, so far we need to kind of catch up on certain things. So we did what we thought was best and most prudent to move forward. So again, in our packets, we updated the as far as the community work program, as well as the report of accomplishments, as well as changing our community goals as well. In our community goals, we really try to define and to make very clear what the community goals were, because in the previous 2018, a lot of it was a little bit vague, a little bit stuff that wasn't really germane to what we have. So the committee, not we, but the committee and the ARC went along and actually clarified and kind of make some changes to it. So again, we are asking for comments, questions, and to review through the packet and give all the concerns for all the questions that you may have to the county. We will be having our public hearing, another public hearing again August 24th that be presented to the BOC. Please be in attendance. We will also have this posted on the county website for the public to view as well, because we do encourage their feedback as well. So I apologize if my presentation is not as pretty as the ARC. but they will have a presentation again August 24th. So please be there. Please come out and listen. And if you have any comments and so forth, please, we ask for those comments and so forth. Just also to kind of let you know, again, even though we are checking the box off for this, for the comprehensive plan, the county always still has the options to go back and update the comprehensive plan. We don't always have to wait every 5 years. We can make changes. So again, it is this staff's intention, once we finish this update, we would like to go back again to kind of do more of an in-depth review of our comprehensive plan, get into a few more items that we weren't able to get done. Definitely wanted to kind of do a little bit more of a robust look at it, as well as we are planning on doing other master plan works and things of that nature. So we will be coming back with you guys with more plans and more updates and so forth. So.
And the meeting is where?
It will be here in the Assembly Hall, August 24th at 6 p.m. Our ARC representative, Molly Boggle, will be there to do a presentation.
So we often hear with the future land use map. Is this changed?
No, sir.
Okay,
no.
It's not. So it's exactly the same.
Yep, yes, sir. No, there was an intentionality not to change the future land use map. What was really more focused on our community goals. That was again what the steering committee's was main task, because again there was a few community goals that were really vague, and so a lot of our time was exploring and fleshing out those community goals, make it very clear in our comprehensive plan update that this is where the community wants to go. We focus on again such as housing as a need, economic development drivers, preserving quality of life and so forth, really trying to hone in on those community goals. So again, this is not just a one time where we check the box. Again, this is still going to be a reoccurring process where we get to still focus and hone in on this. So our plan is to come back and get to make another update to it as well. I hope you like the colorful pictures too.
Yes, very nice. All colors.
The yellow starts to read.
Did you notice that? All right.
Got a little typo on one.
Oh, I apologize. I missed it with my magnifying glass.
They when you putting these together, you obviously are using some canned presentations. On the housing page 11, it refers to when asked to identify Marietta's most important housing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That needs to be extracted.
Yeah, we will get. Well, this is a draft, so there's a reason why eagle-eyed gentleman as yourself, Mr. Harrison, to catch that
need
for
some
us.
more proofreading.
Oh, yes, sir. I agree with you on that. I am tired of looking at it, so I ask you guys to look at it, please.
But there's nothing wrong, I want to point out, using verbiage of you from other places if it's good. We do that with zoning. We look at other zonings from other counties and everything and use that. So just saying, just to change it, but nothing while we're doing that. So, to make that clear. All right. Okay, so will that? Do you have the comprehensive land use plan? You have that committee, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So the committee, the survey results, they're all in the appendix and so forth.
Is that committee still active for the?
I don't know if they're active. Right now they're not active because again they've met their requirement. However, again, is our staff's intention is to kind of go back and again to do another update again. We will constitute another steering committee. Those members again will leave it up to the board of commissioners to make that determination again. But we would like to still have public input as well again because this is not just we're just doing this to check the box. But again, our staff's intention is again to have another discussion, another update again with our comprehensive plan.
I think it's very important we see it back here. You check out with the community goals and all, but also for us, especially as a planning commission, it's important to see what the actual future land use map will be.
Yep, yes, sir.
Very important. So I assume that would come back to us. Will it be
Once
approved without?
once we get through this process again, we'll always bring up updates and back to you guys for your input and so forth. Because again, we have to have this done by October. So again, this is why we're kind of we're pressing for time to get this done. But again, it's staff. Well, I should say my intention is to take another crack at this again. Is to check the box and on a few other items that we would like to get on.
Okay. To meet the deadline.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. October is our deadline that we need to get done. So.
Right, understood.
Yep.
Are you gonna have the ARC?
Yeah, the ARC will be at the August 24th zoning public hearing. Our representative, Ms. Molly Boggle, will be there.
Is their involvement similar to the city's?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same timeline, same everything that she presented. That's pretty much similar, except ours got started a little bit late, but same timeline, same format, and same thing again as well.
Is Kristen involved at all in the county?
Kirsten's not involved. No, our representative is Ms. Molly Boggle is representing for us.
I mean, you don't have any choice. I understand. It would be nice if the same person, could coordinate. But
I don't know. Was that option available to us?
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we kind of started late. Molly did leave early in, and then when she came back again, we had to kind of catch back up again.
She's back?
Yeah, she early on started, and then she left for a little bit, and then we were reassigned to another gentleman, and then she came back, and then Molly kind of picked up where he left off. So again, we were trying to catch up.
Oh, so that's good. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, Molly is fantastic. She is a pleasure to work with.
She knows the area. That's
Oh yes,
good.
yes, yeah.
Great. Okay. Good news. All right.
Any other questions? Oh, thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Chris. We need to make a motion on this.
Yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Let's be in conformance with our
We
brother.
gotta
Yeah,
like the city. Okay. All right. I think if make a motion, my recommendation for the motion is to, knowing that this is not complete yet, that we make a motion for it to go forward with the understanding that you come back to us when they have the rest of the information, such as the future land use map.
How close are we on getting an updated future land use map?
We'll probably once we get past this process again, we'll take a look at the future land use map again. We'll probably go through it. I don't have a timeline for that at this point because we're solely focused on getting comments for this draft and getting this approved for October.
Okay. It'd be nice to see them soon.
Yeah, this is especially important, as I said, the future land use map. Any discussion, any motions?
Your motion sounded good.
What was it?
There's no reason the chairman can't make a motion.
Okay. Well, I
I'll
usually
second
don't.
your motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
And hope that we get some good clarity on the future land use map and on the comprehensive
Right.
plan.
So the motion to approve it as is with the condition that it come back to us when we have, more of the document, such as the future land use plan. So it's a conditional recommendation. All right. And you,
I second it.
second, okay. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay. This is put up on the board. We have adjournment. Before we do the Board of Commissioners, we'll hold the zoning public hearing for the county items in person at 6 o'clock, Thursday, August 24th, right here in the Assembly Hall. All right. And is there, on that note, any other comments before
Our
we
next
adjourn?
meeting is on the 14th of September.
Our next, November 14th. November. Well, you want to take a break. I guess September 14th. All right. At 6 o'clock, Assembly Hall, right here. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
Motion adjourn. Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Better not be. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.